Good day, everyone, especially to my classmates and to our professor, Mr. Wilson Bermoy. My task is to report about the topic competency-based language teaching standards and a common European framework of reference. Competency-based language teaching is an approach known as competency-based education, which was emerged last 1970s in the United States. The purpose of this program or approach is to measure students' knowledge, skills, and behaviors. Competency-based education, as described by Schenk, it is more on performance, adaptive to the changing needs, outcome-based mastery of learning, and individualized instruction. So it is focusing mainly on how much the students have learned on a specific competency. Competency-based language teaching movement, or also known as CBLT, last 1970s, an application of the principles of CBE to language teaching. Last 1983, it is the most important breakthrough in adult ESL. In 1990s, it was accepted as a state-of-the-art approach to adult ESL. ABAC provides 8 key features of CBE programs in ESL. These are a focus on successful functioning in society, a focus on life skills, task or performance-centered orientation, modularized instruction, outcomes that are made explicit a priori, continuous and ongoing assessment, demonstrated mastery of performance objectives, individualized, student-centered instruction. Number 1. A focus on successful functioning in society. The goal here is to enable students to become autonomous individuals capable of coping with the demands of the world. Number 2. A focus on life skills. Competency-based language teaching teaches language as a function of communication about concrete tasks. Students are taught just those language forms or skills required by the situations in which they will function. Number 3, task or performance-centered orientation. What counts is what students can do as a result of the instruction. Number 4, modularized instruction. The objectives are broken into narrowly focused sub-objectives so that both teachers and students can get a clear sense of progress. 5. Outcomes that are made explicit a priori. They are specified in terms of behavioral objectives so that students know exactly what behaviors are expected of them. Sixth, continuous and ongoing assessment. Program evaluation is based on test results and as such is considered objectively quantifiable. Seventh, demonstrated mastery of performance objectives. Rather than the traditional paper and pencil tests, assessment is based on the ability to demonstrate pre-specified behaviors. Eighth, individualized student-centered instruction. Instruction is not time-based. Students progress at their own rates and concentrate in just those areas in which they lack competence. The standards movement of CBLT. An important realization of a competency perspective in many parts of the world has been through a focus on standards. The major benefit of standards is that they set out clear expectations for all involved in the educational enterprise, including parents. They provide a common language for talking about the process of teaching and learning. In the United States, the Washington-based Center for Applied Linguistics, under contract with the TESOL organization, undertook to develop the K-12 school standards for ESL. There are 3 goals and 9 standards: pre-K-3, 4-8, and 9-12. Pre-K-12 English Language Proficiency Standards Framework. There are 5 language proficiency standards. Standard 1. English language learners communicate for social, intercultural, and instructional purpose within the school setting. Standard 2. English language learners communicate information, ideas, and concepts necessary for academic success in the area of language arts. Standard 3. English language learners communicate information, ideas, and concepts necessary for academic success in the area of mathematics. Standard 4. English language learners communicate information, ideas, and concepts necessary for academic success in the area of science. Standard 5. English language learners communicate information, ideas, and concepts necessary for academic success in the area of social studies. CBLT has four stages of competencies. First, the knowledge and learning competencies. Second, oral competency. Third, reading competency. And fourth, writing competency. CBLT approach, design, and procedure. It is not a theory but a skill-based approach to language learning. It measures and quantifies the learner's mastery of discrete skills. This may combine with any approach. Only the specific skills to be learned, specific syllabus of the program, teaching approach, and the methods chosen. The Common European Framework of Reference. A framework for language teaching and assessment developed by the European Council of Europe. This is the most influential example of an outcomes and competency-based language teaching. The outcome statements contained in the CEFR or the can-do statements. Different levels of proficiency in relation to the skills of listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Here are the 6 levels of learning. For beginner, it is labeled as A1 and A2. For intermediate, it is labeled as B1 and B2. And for advanced, it is labeled as C1 and C2. CBLT approach. This combines with communicative approach, may be used in classrooms with interactive, sociocultural, and a skill-based approach. CBLT as a theory of language. First, it is based on a functional and interactional perspective. Second, language is a means of personal and social needs. Third, language links forms and functions. Fourth, language can be broken down into its component parts, that is, skills, knowledge, and abilities. CBLT as a theory of learning. This tells us that language learning is skill-based. It also tells us that successful language performance depends upon practice. The processing models remind us that language is behavior and skills as well as mental knowledge. Some skills are learned by doing them over and over again. These ideas are support for the long-held teaching views about the value of practice and more practice. The objectives. CBLT courses responds to learners' goals and needs. Analysis procedures like interviews, observations, and tests. The syllabus. CBLT language course consists of a description of learning outcomes. Syllabus involves using one's understanding of subject. The focus on it is how the students can use the language instead of their knowledge. Syllabus influences the kind of assessment. Norm reference assessment, criterion-based assessment. Competencies consist of essential skills, knowledge, and attitudes and behaviors. What are the types of learning and teaching activities in CBLT? These are instructional activities integrate the four language skills to emphasize the holistic nature of language. Language tasks in the classroom consist of meaningful interchanges. Instructional activities focus on the acquisition of communication skills. Instructional focuses on the development of the receptive skills before the development of the productive skills. Grouping activities are used in the classroom to facilitate student-centered instruction. Instructional activities are varied to address different learning styles. Instructional activities integrate language and culture. Learning activities develop the language necessary for the student to access higher-level thought processes. Instructional activities require students to take active roles in the learning process. What are the roles of the learner in CBLT? These are, first is to monitor their learning in reference to target competencies. to develop a range of learning strategies, and to be able to transfer knowledge and skills to new situations. What are the teacher roles in CBLT? First, needs analyst. The teacher may be required to conduct a needs analysis of his or her students, and is able to select suitable competencies based on the learner's needs. Second, materials developer and material resource assembler. The teacher may be required to assemble suitable materials, including technology, supported materials, as well as to develop materials to address specific target competencies. Next is the assessor. The teacher is engaged in ongoing assessment of students' learning and may need to reteach skills that have not been adequately mastered. A teacher is also a coach. The teacher is also expected to guide students toward use of appropriate learning strategies and to provide the necessary guidance and support for this purpose. Here is the CBLT lesson plan format. It starts with warm-up or review, followed with introduction, presentation, comprehension check, guided practice, communicative practice, evaluation, and application. Outcomes-based approaches to language teaching are well-established tradition in language teaching. CBLT is seen as prescriptivist in that it prepares students to fit into the status and maintain class relationships. Teaching typically focuses on behavior and performance rather than on the development of thinking skills. I will end my topic by sharing to you a quote by Richard Bach that says, "Learning is finding out what we already know. Doing is demonstrating that you know it. Teaching is reminding others that they know just as well as you. You are all learners, doers, and teachers." Thank you and have a good day.